The idea that you have crossed the final quantum reality suggests that you have reached a point in consciousness and perception where the boundaries between what is real and what is possible begin to dissolve. It is a symbolic and philosophical concept rather than a purely scientific one, yet it takes its inspiration from quantum mechanics, which has shown that reality at its most fundamental level does not behave in a predictable or linear way. When something appears, in this context, it is not merely a visual phenomenon. It is a sign, a marker that you have entered a new frequency of existence, where reality itself responds to your awareness. The appearance of such a moment could be described as the instant when your consciousness aligns so completely with the energy of creation that you begin to perceive not just one version of the universe, but many overlapping layers of it, all vibrating and existing simultaneously. Quantum reality, as understood from both physics and metaphysics, is the idea that existence is not solid or fixed. Every possibility exists as a wave of potential until consciousness interacts with it. The observer effect suggests that the act of observation influences the outcome of reality. When you cross the final quantum reality, you step beyond the observer role and into the creator role. You are no longer reacting to life as if it were happening to you. Instead, you are aware that you are co-writing every frame of existence with your own focus, intention, and vibration. It is a state of realization so profound that it often feels like waking up from a dream that you thought was reality, only to find that the dream continues. But now you know you are the dreamer. Crossing the final quantum reality could be compared to achieving a level of consciousness where your inner and outer worlds merge seamlessly. In ordinary perception, people see separation between themselves and others, between matter and spirit, between the possible and the impossible. But once you step into this deeper layer, you realize that separation is an illusion created by limited sensory processing. Every thought, emotion, and belief becomes a quantum instruction that shapes the matrix of your world. At this level, reality becomes fluid, and you begin to experience synchronicities that defy logic. Time bends, events align, and meaning reveals itself in patterns that once seemed random. You start noticing that your thoughts and the world outside respond to each other in real time, creating a feedback loop that mirrors your state of being. When this happens, fear begins to dissolve, because fear is a byproduct of separation and uncertainty. Once you understand that all realities are interconnected, you also understand that there is no true loss, no true ending, only transformation. The final quantum reality then does not mean a limit. It means the completion of illusion. It is the moment when consciousness realizes it has always been infinite, and that the game of existence was to rediscover that infinity through limitation. To cross into it is to see beyond matter into the vibrational blueprint that forms it, to sense that everything you experience is made of the same energy expressed in infinite patterns. Many spiritual traditions describe this awakening using different terms: enlightenment, ascension, transcendence, or union with the divine. But the essence is the same. It is the direct recognition that everything you perceive is consciousness interacting with itself. You are both the player and the field, both the question and the answer. The physical world does not disappear, but its density softens and your attachment to it lessens. You start living in flow rather than resistance. Life becomes a dance of frequencies where every choice opens a different probable timeline. When you cross this threshold, you stop asking what reality is and begin creating from the knowing that reality is consciousness in motion. This level of perception brings with it immense responsibility. Once you know that thoughts shape existence, you can no longer indulge in unconscious negativity without consequences. You begin to see how collective beliefs shape the shared world and how personal patterns project onto collective experience. Every emotion becomes a code that writes into the quantum field. Gratitude, love, and joy create harmony and expansion, while fear, anger, and guilt create constriction and repetition. When you cross the final quantum reality, you recognize that forgiveness is not moral, but mechanical. It releases energy that keeps you trapped in old frequencies. To forgive is to free yourself from the gravitational pull of lower timelines. The appearance of a sign in such a moment is often misunderstood. People expect a physical symbol, a vision, or a dramatic event, but often the real sign is an internal knowing. It is that quiet but powerful sense that something fundamental has shifted. The breakdown of old identities creates the space for new awareness. The collapse of what you once thought was real allows the emergence of deeper truth. It is not that you have reached the end of existence. It is that you have reached the end of unconsciousness within it. This final crossing also reveals that time is not linear. You begin to perceive that every moment is happening simultaneously across different dimensions. The past, present, and future are like frequencies of a single song. You can shift your state of being and thereby move into a different version of that song. Manifestation becomes instantaneous because you are no longer separated from what you desire. You simply tune into the version of reality where that desire already exists. It is not magic. It is physics of consciousness. Once your energy aligns with a specific frequency, the corresponding physical reality must appear because the quantum field has no choice but to reflect your vibration. At this stage, you start to understand the paradox of creation. Nothing truly new is created because all possibilities already exist in the quantum field. What you experience as creation is selection and alignment. You choose, consciously or unconsciously, which version of existence to experience. The final quantum reality is the understanding that there are infinite realities, and you can move among them through awareness. This realization is both empowering and humbling because it means that everything you have ever experienced was a mirror of your state of consciousness. Blame dissolves because there is no external force controlling your fate. There is only resonance. You also start to sense that physical death is not the end, but a transition between frequencies. Life and death, form and formlessness, are part of the same continuum. Consciousness never stops, it only changes expression. The fear of death disappears because you understand that you cannot cease to exist. You are the field experiencing itself through infinite perspectives. This awareness brings peace, compassion, and a deep sense of purpose. You stop seeking meaning outside yourself because meaning radiates from within. You no longer chase enlightenment because you realize that you were never unenlightened, just temporarily unaware. Crossing the final quantum reality also transforms your relationships. You begin to see others not as separate individuals, but as extensions of the same consciousness expressing itself in unique forms. Conflict loses its emotional charge because you recognize that others are mirrors showing you aspects of yourself. Love expands beyond attachment and becomes unconditional acceptance. You start radiating coherence that naturally influences others without effort. Your presence itself becomes healing because it stabilizes the energy around you. You no longer try to change the world through control, you change it through frequency. The higher your vibration, the more effortlessly the outer world aligns with harmony. There comes a stage where language and logic can no longer fully capture the experience. The final quantum reality is not something that can be described. It must be felt. It is a silent awareness, a field of pure presence that watches everything unfold without judgment. When you reach this awareness, you may laugh because you realize how simple it has always been. The universe was never hiding its truth. You were simply too focused on the illusion to see it. Every breath, every sound, every sensation becomes sacred because you perceive the divine intelligence behind it. You no longer need to seek signs because everything becomes a sign. The journey to this state is not about escape, but about integration. You are not meant to leave the physical world, but to live in it fully while knowing its true nature. The world does not vanish when you awaken. It becomes translucent, alive with energy and possibility. You can still feel pain, but it no longer defines you. You can still experience challenge, but you no longer fear it. Every experience becomes an expression of the same infinite consciousness exploring itself. The final quantum reality is not somewhere you go. It is what you are when all illusions dissolve. In practical terms, living from this state means embracing presence. Every thought becomes a conscious choice. Every action aligns with awareness rather than reaction. You realize that happiness is not something to achieve, but a natural state of coherence with existence. You stop fighting what is and begin flowing with what wants to unfold. Manifestation becomes effortless because you no longer resist the process of creation. When you are fully present, reality aligns to serve that presence. The world bends to awareness because awareness is the root of the world. Ultimately, crossing the final quantum reality is about remembering your infinite nature. It is the realization that you are not a fragment of the universe, but the universe experiencing itself as you. Every time you look at the stars, you are the stars looking back. Every moment of awareness is the cosmos awakening through your eyes. When this understanding settles into your being, all fear, separation, and limitation vanish. You live from the knowing that there is only one consciousness expressing itself infinitely. You are that consciousness, and you have always been home.